The lead singer of The Doors met his death in a bathtub in a Paris apartment on July the 3rd, 1971, by a suspected heroin overdose. Like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix and Kurt Cobain, he was just 27. The velvet-voiced singer and poet who turned leather trousers into an essential requirement of every rock star's wardrobe was not always the king of cool. This 1964 public relations film, shot at Florida State University, shows a rather nerdy-looking Jim, acting the part of a student whose application for university has been rejected.
But what happened? How come my parents or the state or the university didn't look ahead?
The college dork couldn't be further away from the long-haired, hard-drinking, swaggering, psychedelic lizard king he would go on to become. Reported to have an IQ of 150, he formed The Doors with Ray Manzarek, Johnny Densmore and Robbie Krieger in 1965. The breakthrough hit Break On Through to the Other Side was followed up by Light My Fire.
So Jim one day said, we realized we didn't have enough songs, enough originals, so Jim says, why don't you guys write some too, you know? Because I'm tired of doing this all myself. So I went home and I said, okay, in order to, you know, Jim's stuff is pretty heavy duty, right? So I said, in order to compete with his, I'll make it about earth, air, fire, or water, you know, the four elements. And I picked fire.
In between writing poetry and working on film projects, Jim released 5 albums with The Doors before his increasing dependence on drink and drugs forced him to take time out. But when he moved to Paris in 1971, his fellow band members had no idea they would never see him again.
He'd come here to Paris to get away from being a rock star, to become an artist again, to become the poet. And I was very excited about that. I thought, Jim Morrison's going to Paris, the city of artists, city of light.
Nearly 4 decades later, they remembered him in his heyday.
Well, he was an artist first and foremost. He was a poet. But as a human being, he was wonderful. He was very charming, great personality, very funny, a great wit, a good man to be with, great deal of fun. And a good guy to have a beer with. He was, you could spend a good evening in the pub with Jim Morrison, I'll tell you that.
His grave at Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris has become a shrine to his memory, to which fans still flock to mark his birthday and the anniversary of his death.